Okay, so an official good morning to everybody for our April meeting of Thread Magicians. And our program today is going to be by Amy Wilson from the San Antonio chapter in Texas. And she's going to talk about keeping things organized on your computer with your files and designs. So let me do two things here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, come on, computer. I touched the right things. There we go. So Amy's on screen now.
Morning.
And Amy's going to, well, I don't know if you want to say a few words first, and then she'll share her screen and start the program. So if everybody can mute, if you can mute yourself, otherwise I can mute. All right, everybody except you and I are muted now, Amy, so I will turn things over to you.
Well, good morning. My name is Amy Wilson. I'm from San Antonio. I've been embroidering since about 1998 when I got my FAF 7570. And I am pretty much all self-taught. I don't remember ever taking a class on embroidery anywhere. So my husband and I occasionally teach an embroidery basics class for a friend of mine who owns Sew It Fabulous in Boerne, Texas. And it is a non-machine specific class. But what we focused on to begin with was the fact that when you start embroidery, when you start buying designs, you have to find a way to organize them because otherwise they get lost or you just can't find them. And a lot of the people that we have taught, well, we've taught about 2 classes now, and when you start embroidery, you have to have at least a rudimentary knowledge of your computer, whatever that is, whether it's a Mac or a PC or a Chromebook or whatever. So when we started teaching, we wanted to focus on the fact that people needed help with the embroidery or with the computer part of their. Now, let me say that I rather doubt I'm going to teach anybody here anything that they don't already know. I'm just going to be throwing out some ideas, but I would love to get some feedback on, if you can put yourself into the position of a brand new embroiderer, somebody who's never done this before, doesn't know their machine or their computer very well, whether you think this is helpful or if you have any suggestions, I would love to get those. So having said that, can I go ahead and share my screen now?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Here we go. I am screen sharing. I need to put this in that. Okay. I'm not seeing it. Are you seeing it?
We see your entire screen. So you want to start your slideshow, the tab at the top that says slideshow, and then start from beginning over a little bit more.
There we go. All right, here we go. So my husband, like I said, my husband and I teach this together because he spends the time with the students in the class. I mean, he basically sits down with them one-on-one and teaches them how to create folders in their computer, how to download, where to put them, how to decide. So this is what we start with. You've purchased a design. What do you do next? And it's basically, I think old school. I think if I had a file cabinet with a bunch of paper in it, how would I organize that? And so I think of a file drawer with hanging folders in it, and that's kind of how I do it. Now, because I have software that allows me to see my designs in Windows Explorer, I do mine by designer, and then I do it by date. And I'll show you why in a minute. But these are just ways that you can do it. You can organize them by designer. You can do it by your subject, by the date that you bought them. If you have more than one embroidery machine like I do, you can do it by format. The key is whatever works for you, whatever helps you remember where things are, that's the right way to do it. There are no police that are going to show up at your house for tell you how to organize these designs. So you kind of have to think about what works for you. How would you find the best way to remember? So when I download something, I have a 1 in front of Embroidery Library because those people are like, they're like drug dealers. They send out those emails every week. And I buy a lot of my designs from there. So that's why I have a 1 in front of them. But you can see all of mine are pretty much by designer or company. And then I go in and I create folders for the dates that I order them. So, and because I'm military, I do mine year, month, day. So I started this way back in 2009. I think I started this folder, this process. So you download it from the company, you put it into whatever folder you've decided to build, and then go from there. And of course, y'all probably already know on a lot of design sites, you have to register an account with them. And then they keep what's really nice is that they keep a record of what you've purchased. And what I really like about Embroidery Library is I can go in and search by subject matter what I've ordered. So if I want to go in and I want to look for chickadees, all the chickadee designs that I've ever bought will come up. And then I can decide, I can figure out when I bought it, go into my Windows Explorer and find it. And a lot of the times, these companies will send you an email with a link, or the link will show up as soon as you've ordered it, and you can click on it there. So you click on the link, the computer asks you where you want to put it, you navigate to the folder that you've created, or you create it in that process. And you have to know how to do that. You have to know how to create a folder in Windows or Windows Explorer, or in, what's it called in Mac?
Oh, I don't even remember exactly what it's called.
I don't remember. I don't know what it's in. So, and then you just click OK, and it'll store it in that design or in that folder. So the other thing about Embroidery Library is you got it. They don't you can't download all formats. You can only download the one that you select, and that you have to remember to do that. You have to click your.
But they save it.
Format. I beg your pardon? What's the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize my mic was on. I'm talking.
Okay. Okay, so like I said, I use a software called Embroidery, and in Embroidery there is a plugin that allows me called font or Iconizer that allows me to see my designs in Windows Explorer, so that if I click on a particular design and I choose large icons, extra large icons, or medium icons, or even small icons, I can actually see those designs. And that makes it a lot easier to select it, copy it, and move it to my USB stick. So I highly recommend using a program like that. And because I was thinking about it, and I know a lot of people don't have Embroidery, I went ahead and I looked for software for viewing designs. This is an article that came up, and it listed all of these programs that are free that you can download, and they'll allow you to see your designs online in Explorer. And I'm pretty sure Embrilliance works. In fact, I know it works on Macs as well. So you should be able to do it. And these are some low cost programs, but really all you have to do is do a search in Google and you'll find a ton of stuff out there. And whatever you feel comfortable downloading to your computer and using is what works for you. So I have to be honest, if I were starting over and looking for software, I'd probably go with Embroidery just because I think it's really easy to use. But I'm an Embroidery girl now, so I'm not going to be changing that anytime soon. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. Now, if the design is zipped, you have to know how to unzip it. And that to do that, you right click on the design name and a menu will come up and you'll see extract all will be one of the choices. So you extract it and Embroidery and the Explorer will create a new unzipped folder with the designs in it. And you can say, okay, and it'll have the same name. It'll be exactly the same name as your zipped folder, except it won't have zip after it. It'll have whatever your format is after it, PES or VIP3 or whatever the other Genomi's Jeff. So, and then you can either delete or store that zip folder. It depends on how much room you have and if you need the access later. So like here's a zipped folder right here. And I would right click on it and then extract all would come up. You see that? And then Windows will create a folder for you with the same name, or you can change the name on it if you want to. It's up to you. And then you just hit extract and then it creates that folder for you. See how you have one with the zip after it and one with just the JEF after it. So then if you've unzipped and stored your designs, on most newer machines, you can use a USB stick to transfer your designs. There are some machines out there now that you can do this wirelessly. I have no knowledge of those whatsoever. I'm not buying, I think I'm not buying any more new machines anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what I've learned is you can you put that USB stick into your computer, you navigate to your design in Explorer or Finder is the Mac program. Right click on that design, choose, and a menu will come up and you choose copy from there, navigate to your USB stick, right click on that folder and choose paste. And it should then be on your USB stick. Now, this is for Janome and Elna machines only because I don't know why Janome and Elna do this, but they do. For Janome and Elna, you have to have two subfolders. One is called for the 550E, which is what I have. It's EMBF5, or I think it's EMBF is for the 350E, which I also have. And then under that will be another subfolder here. And that subfolder is where you have to put your designs. I don't know why they do that. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos, and these are the only two companies that do this. I have no clue as to why. But it's basically the same thing. You navigate to your USB stick. Your USB stick will have My Designs or EMBF on it, and that's where you put your designs. And to get those folders on your USB stick to begin with, while your machine is off, put that USB stick in your machine, turn your embroidery machine on, and it will format your USB stick for you. And then you can turn your machine back off, pull the USB stick out, put it in your computer, and transfer designs. And I hope that's clear, because I think I went out about that a little backwards. So These are some notes that I do. USB sticks are not intended for long-term storage. They do fail over time. They can get corrupted. And most machines need one that's like, you don't want put a huge 32 gig stick in your machine, because the computers in these machines, except for perhaps the newer ones are better, but on the older machines, the computers are not that powerful, and so they're not that fast. And they'll either take a really long time to find that design, or they won't find it at all. So you really are better off to just use your USB stick to transfer designs to your machine, and don't keep a lot of designs on it. I wouldn't keep more than about 50 on there altogether, and don't count on it for long term, because they do get damaged and then you can't use it at all. So you want to use, in addition to your hard drive on your computer, you want to use an external hard drive and or cloud storage. And we use Dropbox or Google or OneDrive to do that. Now, luckily, a lot of the companies that you order from nowadays keep that backup. And so you'll be able to go back to that company, and most of them allow more than one download. I think there are a couple on Secrets of Embroidery that only allows like maybe 13 downloads or something like that. And I think maybe I noticed on, I don't know, I think it was Embroidery Garden, but I could be wrong. There's only so many downloads you're allowed to have. So you want to keep track of that, and make sure that you have these stored somewhere, because I don't know about you all, but I've got tens of thousands of designs. I mean, I started this 25 years ago. I bought probably at least one design a month, and a whole lot more than that most months. And that's a lot of money. It's a huge amount of money that I've invested in this. I don't want to lose those designs, and you don't either. So to get your machine to read that design, you want to make sure that it's in the right format. See, if you have more than one design or one machine like I do, I tend to make that mistake sometimes. I tend to think that my Janome will read my FAF designs. It won't do that. So you want to make sure it's the right format. And then you want to make sure it's the right size for your machine and the right hoop that you have installed or that you have selected. Now, on my old wood burning Janome 350E, if that design is rotated the wrong way, it won't read the design. If it's 7x5, it just won't read the design. So you have to rotate it. And usually you can do that right in the machine, or if you have software, you can do it in the software. And for Elna and Janome, you got to make sure that the design is in the right subfolder, because I don't know why they do that, but otherwise you won't be able to read it. Okay, and that's where I start on just, that's the portion of the class that is on organization. So if you would like, or if you don't mind, I can run through these slides real quick, and maybe some of y'all could give me some feedback on that. Would that be okay, Beverly?
Well, let's just pause here. And
Okay.
there were some things in chat. So if you want, let me deal with some of those first, because let's see, there was a question. Is there a software that scans for viruses before you save the image? Which I think she means the image or the design file or the zip file. And I'm going to guess that's dependent on your computer and what you have for antivirus capabilities.
And the way you have it set up, you want to answer that one?
We use Malwarebytes, and it scans anything that we download.
Right, but
it even verifies the website, whether it's a good, safe website or not.
So yeah, and they're usually when you click on something in Windows Explorer, I think you can right click on it and scan for do a security scan on
You
it
can do, with Windows Defender.
with Windows Defender. I don't know about Macs. Is there anything does Mac have a similar?
Well, there are antivirus programs for Mac, and you can scan with that.
Yeah. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I think we can hear. I mean,
Okay. Does that answer the question?
if
If
it didn't,
you have
she'll
Windows
let us
11,
know
if
in
you
the chat.
right-click
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
If you have Windows 11 and you right click on a file, you might not see scan with whatever. You may have to select more options to see all the available options.
Okay. Does that help?
Mary
Hi.
Lucas can let us know if,
Did help quite a bit, but I am interested in that software that you mentioned that goes so far as to check the website where it comes from.
It's called Malware Bytes. That's spelled MALWAREBYTES.
Thank you. I didn't know about the Windows Defender for the scan. I've seen it and didn't know what to do with it. And that's very helpful for the time being. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Keep it updated.
Malware Bytes also works on a Mac, and the basic one is free, which I use all the time. You don't have to pay for the higher end one necessarily.
Great.
Amy, could you spell that again for me, please?
MAL.
I just put it in chat.
Oh, thank you, Beth.
And then there were a couple of comments about, I think about Embroidery and Embrilliance. Sheila said, well, no, Pam said that you can buy a piece at a time. And I know that for
Yeah.
Embrilliance and certain things in Embroidery, you can buy different sections or different
Right.
parts of it.
I have some slides on that towards the end
Okay.
that I can show you.
Also, my SoNet has a silver version of software that is free. And I just added, when you were talking about being able to get your designs again, re-download your designs from the place where you bought them. Don't rely on that for every company. I mean, some
No,
are
you
better
can't.
at it than others, but when if they have to rebuild their website or use a new server or provider for their website, sometimes they have trouble retaining everybody's order history. So don't
Right.
rely on that. Keep your designs on your computer, back them up, save them.
Yeah,
Just
it really becomes a significant investment. Even at $1 a piece, I've probably got $10,000 involved or invested in designs over
I mean,
over
I've
the
been
years.
saving,
It's a lot.
I've been collecting designs for over 20 years. So as says Amy, we
Exactly.
talked about that beforehand.
Yeah,
So- someone else commented that she would never remember where she got them. She sorts by where she got them and a category. And I, because I have designs from so many places, some companies that
Right.
don't even exist anymore, I sort my designs by category. And then I rename a design and include maybe the initials. Embroidery library for me is EL, so I add EL onto the design file name so that I know where it came from.
Yeah.
I do things like that for most of them. I didn't do that in the very beginning, but most of my designs have that.
I think it probably took me about 5 years to realize that I better do something to organize these things. And like I said, whatever works for you is the right
Yeah.
way to do it. That's all
Right,
that matters.
and it's different for everyone. So whatever you need to, however you need to organize them so that you can find a
Yeah.
snowman design when you're looking for a snowman or
Exactly.
whatever. Let's see, Britt said you could add techniques to your list of ways to organize. Yeah, I have some filed by applique. I have an applique folder so that if I want to look for an applique design,
Sure.
I might save a design in 2 different places or 3 different places.
Yeah.
So we talked about malware bytes. Let's see, Lori says she sorts by designer and then by number, and
Mhm.
added something to the name like I had just said. Let's see, Crystal. Trying to read, I keep getting something in the way of what it says here on that. Let's see, Crystal said when she gave her presentation, she equated saving design files on a computer to the way a library file shelves, libraries file shelves and their catalog system. You know,
Beverly,
when
I
we
can-
started, the machine would be the cheapest part.
Hey, Beverly, this is Crystal. What I wanted to add is, we had started our embroidery group out and it was early and a lot of ladies didn't have a computer background. And so creating folders, you know, we talked about them, it was kind of like going over their head. So the only way I could think about it was, how would you write things down if you were a librarian? How would you list things? And just to get people thinking how they would organize things, like your recipes or anything else. That's kind of what I tried to impart.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and if it works, it works. I mean, it really doesn't matter what system you use as long as it works for you. Because you're the only one using it.
One of the things I found really helpful was I made a folder that sits on my desktop that says Ginny. And underneath that, I have everything that is sewing related, whether it's online stores, if it's designs, if it's tips and stuff that I've saved or PDFs. But I don't have to go searching the whole computer. All I have to do is open that one folder and then all the other ones are dropped in underneath. And I do it kind of like you by company, but I usually list the order number because that way, if I want to go back and find something, I print out the thumbnails on a lot of things to keep, but so I can look at stuff real quick. But having it where you can just go to one place, because people will save it, but then they don't know where the folders are saved. So I find making my folder with my name on it and putting all my sewing stuff in there. You know, you can make several different whatever, but that way, if it sits on your desktop, it's right there and you can get to it really easy instead of having to drill down through 25 things on the stuff.
Well, yeah, that's like, see, I have my, all of my embroidery stuff is, this is on my other, is on a D drive on my computer. And that's where I keep everything, is on that D drive. In fact, all my sewing stuff is pretty much on that D drive. So yeah, you just have a place where you can go. Like all my patterns are there, all my craftsy classes are there, all my embroidery stuff is there. Yeah. It's much easier if you can just go to one place.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat. There's still some things here that we didn't. I'm not going to scroll back a ways yet. Wait a minute. Let's see. Somebody asked, where do you back up designs? I use Carbonite, which is an online thing that I pay for. I also back up to an external hard drive. And you know, there's like Amy said, there's OneDrive and Dropbox, but you have limited free storage there. I mean, I don't think all of my designs would fit in free storage. I would have to pay for something extra there.
Yeah, you can get free versions of Dropbox and Google Drive. They're not very big. That's the problem.
Right.
And if you have a sizable library of them, yeah, you might need to pay. But I think Google's like what, $30 a year or something like that for $20-something a year for a huge amount of space.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with Dropbox or OneDrive. And Mike just brought up, you can also burn them to a DVD.
Right.
I don't want to take the time to do that, but you know, if you're really worried about it, that's a really good way to save designs so that they're pretty safe, because even hard drives fail.
Yeah.
So
that's why I have 2 backup systems.
Yeah, exactly. Multiple backups are better than none.
Somebody viewing design icons is brilliant. I use Embroidery also, and the iconizer feature of that is probably the main reason I bought Embroidery many years ago. And Brilliance has the thumbnailer part of their software.
Yep.
So whatever software you have, look to see if there is something that will show icons, because I'd much rather see a picture than just a name that's numbers that I don't know what it is.
I think Designs and Machine Embroidery also has a program that's either low cost or free that you can download, where you can look at your designs that way.
They do.
Saves
I
you-
don't. Yeah.
It saves you
Um,
so much time.
Carbonite, somebody mentioned Carbonite that I just talked about, and
Bev?
yeah,
The other
It's
thing that. Go
It's
ahead.
Dutch. I wanted to say that I started a habit. I wish I had started it over 20 years ago when I started embroidery. But I find now that when I go, excuse me, to a website to download a zip file of my embroidery, the first thing I do is I send a copy of it to a special stick that I have, and it's unzipped at that point. That's my main storage for unzips. Then I can go in and extract it and put it into my self-made sections. I found that using the subject matter was much more efficient for me than by designers or anything like that. Because if I want a cat in a hat, I know I can go into my cat file and look for cats with hats. I don't want to have to go through my designer people names and figure out who does cat embroideries and stuff like that. So I find that the subject matter is the most important to me. I also have, excuse me, a separate file of my to-do embroidery things. These are
Yeah.
the ones that I have extracted and are on my list to be made soon, or for a holiday or something coming up. And I know that I have to go to that folder to then get rid of maybe other, because for my main thing, I only save my VP for my, excuse me, for my FOFs, but I get rid of all my other junk that's in the folder from being unzipped. And so I have a nice pure file that I store in my main my main setup. But having that extra either secondary hard drive or USB stick or whatever with all your original unzips is a good way to not have all that stuff put together into your one file folders. Sorry, I'm coughing so much. I'm still getting over COVID.
Thanks,
The only
Dutch.
thing about that-
Amy, do you want to stop your screen share so we can switch back to gallery view and see the people that are talking? I should have
Sure.
thought to ask you to do that before.
Figure out how to do that. Pause share.
Stop share. You should see something. There we go. All right, now let me.
One of the things that I found really helpful with organizing designs is that I have you have your folders with the original designs, but then if I go in and I download it and I'm going to use it, let's say I change the thread colors or I do something to the design, anything, even if I, go in and check the density and stuff, I have another folder that says modified designs, and I do save as and drop it in that one. So the original is still the original, but then I have this one that I've worked with that I can go back and play with or edit, rather than, if I want to change like somebody's name on something, I can just go in and work with that one. But I still have the original I can go back to if I need it for something totally different. But I keep all my modified ones in a separate folder, and I can see them with the software that I have, the pictures and stuff, and they're filed alphabetically automatically. So, I find that really helpful to separate the ones I've changed or saved differently. And I can put in there, like Beverly was saying, like EL, for what it is, and then say cats or something. And if I want to have the order number with it, I can do that too. So it's just another way to keep track of stuff, but it separates it. That way you don't destroy the integrity of the original design if you say ones you modify someplace else.
Another quick way to do that is to just do a save as and put your initials after the name. as part of the name so that you know that it's been touched or damaged or modified some way by the by you. And then you can keep them all in the same file.
Yep, that's something that Peggy Sievert, she teaches a lot of Embird classes, and that she stresses that on every time you modify, save it as something else. Don't just save it.
Let's see, 'cause we got a bunch of things here in chat. So Karen says, remember to download both the design and the JPEG color sheet, the PDF. I'll just add the PDF, the text file, because you may need directions, or you may of how to do that design, or you may want the color sheet that came with it to help you figure out what goes where. So that's another, don't just save the design and delete everything else. You look for some of the other types of files that you need to save. Joanne adds, even DVDs can fail. Yeah, CDs, DVDs, USBs, they're all somewhat temporary.
Yeah.
And Anita says, remember that when you stop paying for the storage, if you're paying for a storage site, your designs are gone if that's the only place you're storing them.
Yeah.
And I'll add, kind of related to that, within Embird, if you save your designs within the Embird program,
Yeah.
when you have to re-download or upgrade your software, you're probably going to lose your design. So keep them out of Embird. Embird, you're looking at them in Embird, you're not saving them within the program. I hope that makes sense. Embroidery Toolshed is the Dime software that's free. I couldn't think of the name. Thank you, Donna. There's a backup service called Backblaze that's similar to Carbonite. Betsy put information in chat about that. I will include all the chat information when I send out the video link. Is there a way to check for duplicate files? There is a software that does that called Deduper. I've never used it. I don't know anything about that. There may be other software.
I don't know of any other than the Deduper.
How do you spell that?
Deduper. I'll put it in chat. I don't know who makes it.
Somehow I think Anna Grand does that. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think.
Okay, I think that's everything in chat for now. So I guess, Amy, you can go back to your screen share.
Is that okay with everybody? I mean, I'm really at this point I'm not going to present anything new to you. I'm really just asking for feedback. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Share. How did I do this? I forget. Oh, slideshow. Slideshow. Why is that not working?
I think you did something at top left before, or you can click on the slideshow tab, I believe.
There we go. Okay, so this is all stuff you should all know. And this is what I teach. This is where I'm looking for feedback. So, and this seems to be something that my students have a really hard time understanding, is that different stabilizers are appropriate for different projects. And I really don't know. I don't find it that hard to understand, but maybe it's because I've been doing it for such a long time. And of course, we talk about the different types. And then in the different types, we talk about how you use them, and on what types of things you would use them for. And some of this is subjective. Some of it is my opinion. I don't use tearaway very much at all anymore, because I usually am doing items that are going to be used a lot. So like towels and things like that. So unless I do it for additional. And then, we talk about water soluble stabilizer. That's a really hard thing for people to understand, and I don't know why. But my students had a really difficult time this last week when we did some freestanding lace, and they had a really hard time understanding the fabric type water soluble stabilizer. I don't know why they did that, why that was so hard, but it was. And then this is just some pictures of stuff. And if anybody has a really good source for Floriani, I'd love to hear it, because I absolutely love their stabilizer. And I'm having a really hard time finding it where it's not costing an arm and leg and a bucket of blood. And then we talk about this backing for, for onesies and bibs and things like that. And then we go to no-show mesh. One thing I'm going to add into the no-show mesh, because I made this mistake, I bought a huge roll of nylon no-show mesh. And I found out it was nylon when it melted to my iron. So I will not ever make that mistake again, but I've got this gigantic roll of it now. I have to use it. So, and then we talk about heat away. I have not used heat away in, at least 20 years. I just don't use it. But, it's not something. And then we talk about, what kind of habits, or one thing, or what kind of items can you hoop? And how that starching or even using what's it called? I forget what the stuff is called. It's a spray on that just makes it really, really tight or really stiff. And then what I tell them is, go ahead, get it hooped loosely, get the tension to where you want it, unhoop it and rehoop it, and make sure that it's where you want it, that it's centered the way you want it. So then we talk about magnetic hoops. I just recently taught myself how to do edge to edge quilting, and I can see why the Designs in Machine Embroidery snap hoop monsters are so useful for that. I've got several hoops that have that are magnetic, and they have the little round magnets that you put around the edges of them. But I would not want to try and do edge to edge quilting with that. But we talk about how they're useful, and then we talk about some design placement tools, stickers and creasing and markers and that kind of thing. And then we talk about thread. About the best one, what I tell them, the best brand to use is the one you like and that is available to you. A lot of people are kind of thread snobs, and that though the thread may be new to you, it might be old, and that sometimes designs call for cotton. This is an example. This next one is an example of thread that was old. This is an 80,000 stitch design. And it was this last flower, and that light pink color kept breaking. And that made me say so many bad words. I got so mad. And that was only a 2-year-old spool of thread, because I looked it up where I bought it, and I could tell when I bought it. Then I switched to it was Madeira, and when I switched to Sulky on a much, much older spool, it worked fine. It was just the thread that was bad. I had to throw a whole entire spool of thread away. Kind of hurt my heart a little bit. And then we talk about different types of thread, metallic threads, and bobbin thread. I have not tried Dime's Kingstar, but I hear it's really, really good for metallic. And these are just some recommendations for how to use it. We're getting towards the end here, and there's some pictures of pretty spools of thread. Now this is going to start an argument. I know it will, because even the FAF representative at the expo I went to last year said, "Oh no, you should always use the 7511 needle." I almost never use a 7511 needle. I almost always use an 8012 or 9014 top stitch needle, and I get really good results with that. And I use Schmetz or Oregon because I can buy them in bulk, and I tell them, don't be chintzy, change those needles. If you have a problem, the first thing you do is rethread. The second thing you do is change your needle. And that's what I tell them, because that's what I do. And then different kinds of embroidery that we talk about. This is something that we'll talk about a lot because I'm going to be doing techniques classes. And actually the next techniques class, they want to know how to do t-shirts and sweatshirts, things that are knit. So we'll be doing that. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been arrogant enough to forget to read the instructions all the way through and been really, really sorry that I did that. So, okay, and this is just a picture of some cut work I did. I just recently discovered this and realized how much fun it was. So, and then, oh, I missed one. Nifty tools, stuff that we use. Temporary adhesive spray. I usually tell them I use the OD 505 because it's cheaper than the sulky, but I think either one works just as well. Anything to mark your indicators is good. I show them the designs of machine embroidery, little circles, but a regular sticker from Walmart works just as well. And then these other marking tools. And a way to remove stitches. So, and last but not least, we talk about software. And this is where I probably need to add to this because I think there's probably some more out there that I need to look up. But this is what we were talking about earlier about Embird offering this plugin called Iconizer. And Brilliance of Basics is $149, but I think the thumbnailer is only about $40 and you don't need to have the basic course for that, or the basic program for that. I think, I'm not sure. So that's it. That's the class. So any feedback I can get on that, I'd really like. You want me to go ahead and not share it anymore?
Yeah, you can stop your screen share, and then that way if somebody has a comment, there were some things in chat, but most were comments. So like I said, I'm going to include the text from the chat when I send out the video link, so that you can read through that on the comments. I'm just looking to see if there were questions. Terrial Magic was the product that you were talking about to spray on the fabric to stiffen it. Some comments about different types of needles. So I don't see any actual questions on that. I know you were just doing a real quick run through of things that are the basics. So let me just, let's see. Okay, so thank you, Amy, for giving us an overview and sharing, everybody who shared some ideas on how to save your designs and organize things. And as she said, it's what works for you, how you will look for a particular design. If you only buy from one digitizer, you might want to, or two digitize, you might want to file them differently, but it's all about what works for you and how you will need to look for things.
Yep.
Beth?
Yeah.
Beth? Hi. Something just came into my brain. If we're talking about backing up your computer, whether to carbonite or other types of things, or even for your own computer when it does backups at certain times. We had a problem, my husband and I, because what we were backing up, we did not include the formats specifically needed to be added to the copying process. For instance, my husband does a lot of music arrangements, and one of the 3 digits at the end of some of his arrangements were not recognized by the backup software. And unless you go in, for instance, and I say that I want to make sure that I do VP3s also, I have had things back up and my embroidery files were not backed up. JPEGs were, text files were, but not the specific format of VP3. So if you're using a backup system, make sure that you go in and read, drop down and read the actual 3-digit extensions or formats, whatever you want to call it, for the things that are very important to you, or you could lose a lot of things.
Yeah, because like say Carbonite or some of the others, they're not geared towards embroidery machines and
Exactly.
formats. So that's not automatically, you have to make sure that they are going to back up a particular type of format. It's a very good point. Very good point.
Actually, if you just tell it to back up star.star, it will get everything.
Okay.
And terabyte-sized hard drives are not as expensive as they used to be, and they're well worth the investment.
Let's see, there was I just lost a question here. Betsy, you wanted to talk about a cutaway stabilizer.
I did. I found this new stuff and it's not really a stabilizer. I don't think I've talked about this before in this group. It feels very much like Pillon. I think it's called Soft and Stay. I use it in my tile scenes, anything that the cutaway is going to stay in the whole piece, book covers, things like that. I suppose you could cut it away from a knit design. I think that would work as well. I use 2 layers of it because it's so cheap. It's called, I get it at Home Depot. Lowe's doesn't carry it. It's white. It only comes white and it only comes non-fusible. It is called Trench Wrap. And it is 36 inches wide. It's 150 feet long and it's $17.
Wow.
And it's fabulous. It feels very much like a regular stabilizer. And I read about it on Facebook and I was very hesitant to try it. And it feels very thin, but again, it feels like the Pillon Soft and Stay. And yeah, I can't say enough about it. I've had a roll for 6 months and I went through, I can't imagine how much it would have cost me at Christmas time making. I did a lot of notebook. You can't see that. A lot of notebook covers.
You have to hold it in front of your face.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't matter.
Oh, Betsy, can
but
you
yeah,
put the name? Can you put the name of that in chat just so we'll have it in the chat?
Sure.
chat
Yeah,
feature?
it's pipe wrap, trench wrap. It also is called soil separator. I think there's 2 different names on the package. 36 inches wide, and Lowe's doesn't carry it. It's only a Home Depot product.
Okay.
Works fabulous. So give it a try. What have you got to lose for 17 bucks, right?
Yeah.
What is its
Right.
original intent?
Trench wrap. It's for outside, for soil, to keep soil stuff from filtering into trenches, I guess. I don't know. But It's landscaping cloth.
Well,
Well,
it keeps the weeds down?
it's similar to landscaping cloth. It's thinner and it's lighter than landscaping cloth. It almost disappears in a design, but 2 layers work fabulous. And I don't mind spending the money for 2 layers because it's so cheap to begin with.
So do you use it for everything you're saying, or what do you use it?
I don't do a whole lot of knits, but I can't imagine it wouldn't work. It's very soft. So if you had little if you didn't trim close enough, it wouldn't, I think it wouldn't scratch your skin at all. I do more in the hoop things that call for
cutaway, and I use it in place of a no-show mesh.
Yeah. How does it respond to an iron, Betsy?
I have ironed it. I haven't used screaming hot iron with steam on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't seem to shrink. It's polyester. It's not nylon.
Okay.
Seems to be fine. Yeah. So give it a try. You might like it. I
Yeah.
have fallen in love with the stuff. I think it's great for $17 for a roll. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked what department, what section of Home Depot?
Gardening.
The garden section, or?
No, it's
It's probably
in
maybe plumbing.
outdoor plumbing. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Betsy.
There'll be a run on it now.
Yeah, they'll raise the price. Don't tell them what you're using it for.
That's like rope for making the coiled rope. You know how that got really popular this year, or the rope bowls and the rope
Mm-hmm.
stuff? And man, you can't get it anymore.
So let's move on to show and tell time. So if you have something that you want to show, if you remember how to raise your hand using the symbol that can be found under reactions. If you're on a computer, it's down at the bottom, a little smiley face that says reactions, and one of the choices would be raise hand. On an iPad, it might be at the top. You might have to tap your screen to get it to show up, but if you can't figure that out after we deal with the people that did raise their hand that way, I will look to see who's waving furiously and trying to get my attention. So let's start with Crystal from Sarasota. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just did. Did it again. I have a few items. I've taken pictures, so I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay.
Okay.
How's that?
It says screen share, but we don't see what you're sharing. You need to choose what you want to share.
Oh. Zoom quit unexpectedly. Hang on. Am I still here?
You're still here, but we're back to the gallery view, so you're not sharing your
Okay.
screen.
Yeah, apparently Zoom did something and knocked me out. So let me try again.
Nope.
Oh, now we see the photos. Yes, beautiful angel.
Yes, this is Martha's Lace Angel. I think it was, I believe it was an Anita Good. It was retired years ago. I sewed it quite a while ago. And it took about 9 hours for most of it to stitch. And then with the point.
Oh, I think we lost you, Crystal.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to stop her screen share.
You should be, Bev, you should be able to do view options, and because you're the host, right?
Yes.
You should be able to view options and then.
Yep, there it is. Okay. Except it didn't change. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so Crystal will have to come back and join. Crystal, are you back? No. Okay, let's move on to Pam from Pikes Peak, and when Crystal comes back, we'll continue on.
Hello.
Hello.
I shared this to the Facebook group, but I just want to make sure, because it's all ASG group thing, that we used to have the ASG fabric, and it was on my design, and my design went under. But now I want to make sure that you know that Spoonflower has all the different ASG fabrics on there now. They're hosting
Oh,
up.
cool.
So our president is the one that won the competition to design the different fabrics. And it comes in all these colors. And you can resize. So if you want this, it comes in the largest size, because you could go up without it losing, I mean, you can't go up without it losing its integrity, but you can go down. So you can choose to have this be like a 1-inch little guy instead of this size. So you can resize it before you buy it. And it comes in a yellow. And it comes in a blue. And so they have some like this one here. I don't have it with me, but these will be gray, and then the background will be yellow. So there's like 26 different setups. Plus, you can buy like this coordinating fabric, which is this here, or the words, and the words are all sewing terms. They're in the background. So there are coordinating fabrics too there. So, and then you can put it on, if you want it on a knit, you can put it on knit. These are all fat quarters that I ordered. They had a sale a while ago. And this is their normal cotton. But they have canvas, and they have silk chiffons, knits. They have a little bit of every fabric that you can put it on. So if you want to make a nightie with your sewing guild, you could do that. But anyway, and those are all on Spoonflower. So when you go onto Spoonflower, just put ASG up or American Sewing Guild in the top, and then that'll take you there. Or the designer is Cecilia, and it is T Crazy, I think is what her design name. And she has a lot of different designs that you can buy. So anyway, so you can do that for your fabric then.
Thank you, Pam. That's a good reminder for some of our newer members that may not have been in ASG when the fabric first came out from the other website. Okay, Amy is next.
I made this for my daughter-in-law. We're going to go see them this weekend. Yes. And I was talking about the rope stuff, and I know that's been around for a long time, but I haven't done it, and I did not realize how mesmerizing it was. And I really like the idea of embroidering on the rope. It's a little trickier, but turned out all right. And this is a design she'll like, so it's my little hostess gift. So nothing special.
Yeah, Christine, you're next.
I'll start with showing you what is not embroidery that I did lately for Easter time. And I did a reversible Easter mat. And this design was on Husqvarna, Pfaff, and Singer's website, but they had a flip and fold, but I did a quilting design on it. And a lot was leftover extra, so I made little napkin holders that went with it. And also with the extra, I made a table runner with the bunnies and the Easter egg. Oh, so you see that? Then I was getting into decorating the house, and you won't be able to see it very well, but it's a drop cloth, and I did a swirl design that this will be a balloon valance. It will end up being when I put the liner on it and get that done. And also, I painted a table. And I needed something in the middle, and this is a project in the works. This is a rose project that's an edge. So this would be the fabric, and then the water soluble will go here, and it'll be an edge design that you cut out that's going to be. So that's a work in progress. This is from Pfaff. This is Creative Edgeworks is the design if you're interested, but it'd be a round as it ends up being. So those are the things that I've been working on lately. That's it.
Thank you, Christine. Anita, you're up next. And you're muted.
Okay. I did a little bit of embroidery on this pillow I made for a 60th wedding anniversary. I just got a new printer so that I
Can't hear you, Anita.
Huh?
We couldn't
was
hear
a-
you. When you're holding it in front of you, can't hear you.
Oh, he was a woodworker and she was a nurse. So then I did the pack, just leftover fabric. So it's a pillow for Friday. It was fun to do. That's all.
Thank you. Janet, you're up next. You're still muted, Janet.
Mute, there it is. I had it, but I made this little hanging to put on the door.
Nice.
And I have a work in progress, and it's in pieces right now. I'm making this neighborhood block quilt, and like I said, it's still in pieces. I gotta finish making the border part. They're both by Sweet Pea. Didn't get to do much more because I wasn't feeling well part of the month, so that's it.
Okay, thank you. I know Crystal is back and has something else to show. So Crystal, if you are ready, we'll try again.
I think maybe it was too much for my machine. It kept dropping me off.
Okay.
One of the gals in my chapter was going to a retreat, and she's got the Lorelei ASG designs, and she was having problems with them. So I took one, I bought them, somebody do this too, and I reduced the density, and I just stitched it out on just a very old bag, just to see if it would work.
Oops,
Oh,
you gotta hold it right in front of your face and it might show, or you gotta change your background. There, we can kind of see it now, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I reduced the density. It was like a small design. It was like, I reduced it by a couple of thousand. But the arms, she was having a problem with the orange catching, and I think the stitches were long, and kind of like anybody who else has them, kind of slow down the stitches. I might try to redigitize the arms so that they don't catch. The other thing is I like to do the little free webinars, and I saw this one design and it was for a hand embroidery. Well, with my RA, that ain't gonna work. So.
Nope, we can't see it. Right there. Okay, now we go. Nope,
Okay.
It disappeared. It disappeared again.
All right. It was supposed to be home is where the mom is, but she's gone. So I did home is where the cat is. Anyway, I do a lot of towels, and so I just stitched one out. I've only got a little bit of problem on one area where the design was a little dense, so I'm redoing it, but you know, taking a design, and I like to have fun doing those things. That's all I wanted to share. But the Lorelei, just a little cautionary, they're really, really dense. If you've got software that you can reduce the densities, that'll be fine. It might have been the material she was sewing them on. But that was just something to let folks know. That's all I wanted to do.
Thank you. Betsy.
Sorry. Okay. Just a little thing I stitched out. It's a Janine Babbage design. Hop into spring.
Cute.
Stands
That's
on a
so
little
cute.
on a little stand. It is, they're very cute. She does some cute designs, so that's it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Joanne in New Hampshire. You're muted, Joanne.
What I don't know is how to share my screen.
Okay, down at the bottom of your screen, there's a green box with an arrow
Yes.
in it. If you
Okay.
touch
I'm
that,
working.
and then you'll have to open whatever it is you want to show.
I'm working on this for ASG, and they're
Nice.
and they'll make it available to ASG members sometime. I don't know when, whenever they post it, whenever I proof it. So I just wanted to let you know, this is what I'm working on.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
So you can stop your screen share when you're ready.
Okay.
We're back.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anybody else have anything that you want to show? I know a couple of you sent me photos to show of something that you had done. I'll need a moment to get that ready. I forgot to get that ready on my machine. Pam, did you have something else to show us? Okay. And let me just see if anybody on the second screen is waving or jumping up and down and trying to get my attention. I don't see anyone doing that. So let me just, I need to do a screen share, but I need a moment to get it set up. So bear
Amy,
with me.
Amy, I just want to say, you talk about thread that went bad at the end of that design. Last Halloween, I was doing, and I use Floriani thread, and I have for years, and I love it. I had a spool, it's polyester, and it was only about 2 years old. And I was 3/4 of the way through it. And all of a sudden my machine started looping, and for no reason, and it drove me crazy. And you change the needles, you do this, you do that. And I was getting low on this thread and wanted to make sure I had enough of that color to finish what I was doing. And I took it in for service, and I gave my service technician a spool of white Floriani, because I know they don't carry it. And she ran it, and she, everything's fine. No looping at all. So I went home because I said, okay, thank you very much, and paid for the service and the cleaning, and put the orange thread back in, and immediately started looping. And this spool was 3/4 of the way gone. And I called her up and I said, no, it's doing it again. She said, no, it's not doing it. I actually gave her a copy of the design so she could replicate what I had been experiencing.
Yeah.
And so I went that Saturday, I brought my machine in, sat down with her, and it didn't loop. And I was with the white thread. And then I said, well, let me show you what it's doing with the orange thread, not really believing it was the thread, because the thread had been fine right along.
Right.
And it was the orange thread. Somehow, I don't know if it was manufacturing defect when they started winding the spool. I have no idea, but I ended up having to buy another spool of that orange to finish the project. It was just the craziest thing. I'd never seen anything like it
That's
ever.
maddening. Isn't it maddening?
Yes, it
I just
is.
think so upset.
No, I didn't call. I just sent you a little text. I went to.
I had something recently happen with thread. I was using, I make these mats that go by the sink for putting your dishes on, and I embroidered on it. And I put the person's name and then this little saying. And the one color was like a orange color. And I use, the wash away stabilizer. So I rinse them out before I give them to people. I rinsed it out, I hang it up to dry, and I look at it when it's dry, and it bled all around the name and everything, this orange thread. And I'm like, okay. So I rinsed it out again. It looked okay, hung it up to dry, did the same thing. It was Robust and Anton polyester thread, not rayon, which really surprised me. Finally, I tossed it in the washing machine with soap and water and other laundry. And after that, it quit. But I've never had a polyester thread bleed.
Yeah.
So I just thought I was like, what the heck happened here? Just FYI, again, kind of like you, it may have been just the particular thread.
I
Well,
have
it
a
made me
question
so
for you,
mad.
Ginny. Did you by any chance use any kind of marker, like a friction pen or a Sharpie on that
No.
was that same color? Because I had used I think I had used a Sharpie to fill in a little spot where where the thread didn't
Oh, this
cover.
was like, you know,
And
I do
then
the,
that ran.
yeah, this is a rectangular square, 18 by 18, and I do their names vertically, like Ginny's Kitchen, and then I have this saying at the bottom. But everything that had the name and stuff, these 2 rows that sit like this vertically, the whole thing just kind of, you know, was like about an inch out all around and all around the letter, just kind of turned colors. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And I'm like, okay, we're not going to use that thread again for this.
Okay, let me share my screen and okay, hang on a second here. I got,
Oh,
all right, I'm trying to get those out of the way. Why isn't it showing I don't know. There I am. Whoops, hang on. Operator error that.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
This picture is from Andy. I don't know if Andy is still here.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, do you want to tell us about it? Because I don't remember what you said in your email.
This is a Hoop Sisters Jacobian Journey. That was their project for the year, I think in 2016. So there was no rush. I had all of it done except the borders. This is laid out. It's not all sewn together, and it's supposed to be queen size. It's a queen size bed, and as you can see, it doesn't all fit on there. There's going to be hanging over edges hanging over. And this is I got a new 10 needle over the winter, and I did the outside ones where you can see the yellow and the green at the bottom and at the top, and that's all sew and flip, putting it together, and then it does the embroidery design over it. But this has taught me a big lesson to look at it this way, because when I try to put the pieces together, some things don't exactly match up. And when it's right in front of your nose or mine, that's all I see. So stepping back and putting it on, laying it out this way, the way it's finally going to be used.
And that's what I was trying to do. And somehow I got this guy. Okay, I'll see. what I
Okay,
can
somebody
do.
else is talking. Can you mute yourself?
So that encourages me to finish this. But the funny story is I picked these colors for the bed in the guest room, and I'm now 4 houses later. And it'll go in the guest room here. So then hopefully it will get finished this summer. But being one of the older Hoop Sisters, this is the one where it's each piece has the backing on it, and then there's sashing on the back. So I have the sashing done on all the short rows, and I've got to do the cross rows, and then it will be finished. But I'm looking forward to getting it finished.
Thank you, Andy. A couple other photos. This is from Elaine Toomey. Elaine, are you here?
Yes.
If you want to tell us about it.
Well, I made 2 of these. One's for my grandniece and one's for my grandnephew. And it was the first time I had done something that's sort of like a tile scene. And I think it's going to encourage me to do more tile scenes. So I thought they were cute. A lot of fun, bit of a learning curve. And I had used special type fabrics in there. And I learned that you have to use topping when you embroider over minky. It doesn't work well unless you do. But they come out kind of cute, I thought.
It's
And
adorable.
Thank you.
Adorable, both of them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. That's it for the photos that I had. So I'll go back now to Zoom and
Whose design were those growth charts?
Anita Good. I've actually had those designs for a while and decided to finally stitch up some of the embroideries that I have instead of just buying them and holding them. I decided to use them instead. And my friend Joanne was a big help in showing me how to do a few things. So thank you, Joanne.
All right, anybody else have anything they want to show or share or
I have a question.
question, Pam?
Yeah. So do we do metallic threads at one time in this group?
Did we talk about metallic thread?
Yeah, I mean, did we do a program on it or anything like that?
I recall specifically on metallic only, but I guess we could. I don't know what topics Rosemary might have lined up for future months, but we can, I can let her know. And
I was just wondering because if you had, I was going to ask if I could have the link to go back and look at it, but if you haven't, I think there's so many theories out there, and even ones that are not exactly kosher or whatever, but they're fun to hear.
well, and probably everybody has a different way of getting metallic to work for their machine or that particular brand of thread. But yeah, I will, possibly we can talk about that. I don't think we may have touched on metallic thread at some point, but I don't know that we maybe talked about it in detail.
Okay,
so
thanks.
Good suggestion. Anyone else? Well, then our next meeting will be May 18th, and I'm not sure what the topic will be at this time, but we will have something to share then. So I hope everyone has a good day, week, a month, and that's it for now, and we'll see you next time.